Hey everybody, and welcome to Beyond Food Market Podcast number 13. Alright guys, so I brought a couple of things we're going to talk about. Last week we didn't post for such a while, for like 4 or 5 weeks. And I'm just going to start posting. So, we're trying to develop our story. I was listening to David Meltzer a couple weeks ago, and he had something on like the phases. Like there's a learning phase and then the execution phase. And I believe that's where we're on right now, is execution phase. And that basically just means executing on the idea, on what our whole purpose is. So I probably should drink some water now because I'm super thirsty. Let me press pause. Alright, guys, we're back. So we're working on developing our story. I was listening to David Meltzer. They're talking about the execution phase, and I believe that's really where we are. Because if you've been following me, guys, completely broke, don't really know much, never started a company. I just have an idea. It's simply an idea, and I'm documenting it. This is what it's like, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know if this is what it's like. This is what's happening to me. So I'm just gonna keep documenting things, telling you what's happening. And after that, after we did that, filed for the provisional patent, it's kind of like I didn't know what to do. I was just lost because that first year, where I was like, when I first spoke, when I went to the Polsky Center and I saw the Rustani Center, and I first told the first mentor, I forgot his name, Mike maybe, and I said, hey, I have an idea. I have this idea by having a store made with vending machines. And that was the idea. That's when I first spoke it. And that was about 25 months ago. It was probably, I feel like it was like August 2018. So not even, maybe like, it's been like 2 years, about 2 years. So from the time I spoke it, I had to start shifting because I had to create a presentation. So I had to start making a presentation, and then I had to start showing some other mentors the presentation that I had made, and then getting feedback on that very early presentation. Then I got some feedback. Everyone I met had positive stuff to say. So I was like, okay. So that took a roughly 8 months to do that part, and about 8 months, because then the next phase, after the Polsky Center, then I went to the neighborhood, and then worked on the business plan. I took a 10-week, I believe it was a 10-week business course, or 12, at the Operation Hope in Inglewood. So that took about a year, and then I went to the Coleman Center, but what I had developed in that year, from the first time to the Coleman Center, which was in May of last year. So it's been 13 months ago. So 14 months ago. It was about 14 months ago. I pitched at the Coleman Center of what I had developed in 14 months in a year. So 12 months of developing it to the first pitch. And it was terrible. It was terrible. So from that feedback, I was like, man, because right off the bat, they're like, Jose, what's your differentiator? And I was like, I'm trying to bring food in that area. And it's kind of like, you just felt the energy. The guy walked out of the room. So, pretty much there, I was like, all right. It was like, in my head, I knew it. The other people that were there were just amusing me for the time being. But on the ride home, I was like, man, what does make us different? And that's what really got me going. So from there, we developed the patent pending. We've developed our vending box. So I was like, man, what makes us different? And then I came home and I was like, man, I got into the backyard with the bicycle. I'm like, man, you know what makes? And I shot a video, and actually I'm gonna pull it on this phone because I have it on my old phone. That's another story. But I'm gonna pull out. But so the video is like me saying, hey, yeah, this is it. It's the vending box. It was the vending machine, because they vend like that all over the world. The only difference was I was putting its own payment center. That's what its own payment center, and that's what was the differentiator. And then from there, I was like, you know what? Let me get some IP. So then I had started on the patent, and I have been working at DePaul. I was doing the patent, and then I got into the DePaul Idea Realization Lab, where from the Coleman Center, they told me about the Idea Realization Lab. Got there and started just brainstorming and just developing the story more. And I was contacting vending machine suppliers and makers, and nobody really called me back. One couple people talked to me, one emailed me back, and they're like, wow, it's like, we don't do that. It was too custom, because I don't know. They just said no can do. I was like, all right, cool. So I just started developing it more and more. And I'm like, you know what? Because I wanted this vending unit to be like completely efficient. And so I was like, let me make it just like its own box. Because if something goes wrong, like if I had that big machine and something went wrong with it, the whole machine goes down. So then I'm like, I'm just gonna have the box, and then that'll do it. And that's what I did. I just got the box and just developed that, and then I just started building it. And I started building it out, filed for the provisional patent. And it started evolving in my head, just from doing more research, doing patent searches, doing web search, learning about vending machines. And it just started developing. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, man, we can have all in one unit. It has free freezes. And then I was like, let me put it like the mini refrigerators that are on your desktop, because I want it to be self-sufficient with using Peltier technology. Because that's thermoelectric. You get heat and cold from electricity. And I'm like, yeah, and then the prices would be low because everything is commoditized. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And so it started building on that and that and that. And then, seeing all these sensors, they're so small. We could do air temperature sensor, weight sensors. We can have sensors for vandalism in case they break, or just all kinds of things. Temperature sensors, gas sensors, gauges. And I'm like, and then I can freeze it. So if anything goes wrong in this one box, I can just pull out the box from a frame that's just electrified. Like maybe the lights on the ceiling, they got the metal slides. And I was like, yeah, just power it like that. And that's where we're at. That's the design. That's the whole thing. And now that we got those 26 months in, right? That's the story we got from there to here, right? And then I'm like, now what? Now what do we do, right? Like, now what do I do? Because I was focused the whole time trying to create the vision, right? And that's where we're at. That's where I was like, I don't know what to do now. So I just started posting some things and just saying, I don't know what to do. And a old university classmate of mine reached out to me. And she's like, who's also a Booth graduate. And she reached out to me. She's like, Jose, I was kind of looking at your story. I saw you on LinkedIn, and she reached out to me on Instagram. So, because I was posting on LinkedIn, I was posting on everywhere, because that's what Gary Vaynerchuk says. You gotta listen to Gary. So, I was posting everywhere. She reached out to me. She's like, Jose, I was like, I saw your stuff, and I'm like, why don't you? I think maybe you should try some of this. She gave me some stuff, and then I messaged her. I sent her my presentation, and then the other day we just kind of talked more, and Instagram more, and we just started going back and forth, and it was like, that's what I've been working on, developing the story. Like, why do I want to help? Why do I want to do this, right? I don't know. And so now that's what I'm going to start developing. Like, the basic premise is, the first idea, the whole reason this started was because I wanted to bring food into food deserts. That was it, because basically mostly black people are suffering the most, like black and brown people, especially black people. And I saw that on 60 Minutes, and that's what spurred the whole thing, that I wanted to help alleviate some of the chronic illnesses of black people, and partially because of my personal journey of me losing 90 pounds, me going from near death and not breathing and having all the gluten intolerance, always tired, always farting, always had gas, my intestines always hurt, my knees always hurt, all that stuff affected my whole body. So I just had to get rid of it, and that's it. So, let me see. So yeah, we got rid of it and changed my life. Changed my whole life. And because of that, now I want to share that experience. I want to be like, hey guys, hey, if you do this, it can help you. And so for me wanting to help, I wanted to figure out why businesses don't go in these areas. And then I was in Operation Hope, and what they were telling me is the inventory. And then from speaking to businesses and from Operation Hope, it's the inventory. The inventory leaves the building. It goes. And this is America. It's a capitalist country. If you're opening a business, you want to make money. That's how you feed your family. That's how you survive in this earth, with money, right? To eat. So if you're buying inventory for your store to sell and you're not able to sell it, your money's walking out the door, you see? And then you can't survive. You can't have a business. So I was like, okay, so that's the problem, right? I'm like, how can we fix that? And then that's when I started developing the box, the vending machine, started developing that. And that's the whole premise. I wanted to bring nutritious food into these areas because these people are suffering the way I used to suffer, and I want to help them. And now what I have to start doing is executing on the story and telling the people like I said, guys, I don't know anything, right? But I feel like it's just something so like other people can understand it, because it's just my idea. Like, I fucking understand it really well, but that doesn't mean anybody else understands it. So now I've got to come up with like the story, and that's what we're gonna be working on. That's our whole thing. This whole thing, let's just start working on the story and just posting it. And another thing too, guys, and now that you're all caught up, let me just tell you what's going on, because I've been posting like Gary. I've been listening to Gary Vaynerchuk. He just says, just post anything. Just post. So that's what I've been doing. And like back in February, I was interacting, and I just started, because I would just like dabble in it, come back, dabble in it, and come back, and like, because every time I felt like I reached something, then I'd kind of like go out in social, kind of say stuff, and I kind of like just like almost like like you're playing hopscotch, and you're like 1, 2. That's kind of how I was. I was getting ready to go in. So maybe that's what's happening. Maybe I'm gonna be ready to start jumping in right now. And from doing that, I got from interacting and posting and sharing and just commenting, I got some looks, right? And let me share with you some of the looks, some of the people that have from doing all that, they've linked up with me on LinkedIn. I forgot his name. Let me check. Alright guys, so like I was saying, 3 people kind of reached out to me: Roger Leinhard, Jody Manel, and Brian Bethencourt. And when Roger Leinhard reached out to me, I kind of was like, alright, cool, I accepted him. And then I was like, I looked at what he did, and he was like some like super investor out, like does Blue Horizon, right? And I was like, what? So that's kind of dope. The next lady, Joni Mondell, she started Live Kindly, and she recently sold to Blue Horizon. So maybe that's how they kind of knew each other, Roger and Jody. But then also Ryan Bethencourt, I saw him on Shark Tank. I think that's why I started following him, and I interacted in a couple posts, and he like linked up with me, and he also had commented. He also had what is that called? Celebrated a post. He said, "Man, Jose, I like what you're doing. I'm trying to come and do something for underserved communities." And that was kind of dope, because he's also an investor, right? Why not? That's cool, right? And also on Twitter, I've been posting on Twitter, and this gentleman called Joe Worde, he put me on a list, a food industry list, which has about 64 groups, 64 Twitter handles, and that's pretty dope. And I mean, you don't even know, not that anybody's called me and said, Jose, I love your concept. That hasn't happened. But what Gary says is that if you start posting, then it's just, you're just going to get into it. It's going to happen. That's just what happens. That's what happens if you post something. There's eyes that look at it. There's algorithms. So that's what I'm hoping for, because I'm just nobody, doing nothing, don't know anything. So I'm just listening to Gary. I have faith in what he says. I'm executing. I'm doing everything these guys that have made it say to do, and that's it. That's all I can do is keep on doing what the experts say, and what the people have made it. They keep saying it, and see what happens. So that's kind of cool that that's happened from posting. Because these are connections. These are connections, guys. So that's our podcast for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next week, and we'll tell you how our story's coming along, because that's what I'm going to be working on, is the story. Trying to develop the story, We'll figure it out, guys. All right, talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.